Here's a theme song, you know it's not a mean song. It's a good song, just as it should song. American Brews and Tunes. Shibbity beeby dow!
Wow, we're back.
Wow.
Can you believe
everybody.
it?
I can believe it, yeah.
I believe it too. Because we're here.
That's
This
right.
is episode number 107 of American Brews and Tunes. My name is Stephen Johnston.
And my name is Jesse Titus.
I'm pretty sure we said last week what we were going to do, but for those of you who don't remember or didn't listen, or maybe this is the first time you ever listened to us, who knows? We're a podcast that does music. We talk about music, we do reviews, whatever we want to do music-wise, and we review beer. So music and beer, two of the best things, one place.
That's exactly right.
Like we said last week, we are reviewing the album Dive by I Am The Avalanche.
Yes.
And we are continuing the dry January with the all-out Stout from Athletic Brewing Co.
Yeah, Athletic Brewing Company.
Yeah, so
I've never heard of them before. Do you know if they're just a non-alcoholic brewery?
I believe so. I actually had seen advertisements from them on either Facebook or Twitter somewhere, just one of those promoted ads. And they were talking about all the non-alcoholic beers. And I was like, oh, cool, a brewery that just does those. And then I forgot about them. And then Craft Brewed started selling their stuff at the end of December.
That's so weird. I guess maybe it's just a choice that they made as a brewery to only brew non-alcoholic.
I guess. So, I mean, they're probably doing quite a bit of business.
At least for this month.
For this month, yeah. Maybe sober October.
Yeah.
I don't know.
2 months out of the year, they're good to go.
Yeah. But this is, last week we had the Lagunitas IPNA, which was kind of like hoppy water.
Yeah, it was really weird.
It wasn't very malty, so I'm really curious to see if this fake stout has malts.
Yeah, if you're familiar with beer at all, and you're familiar with the term body, the body of a beer, the one last week had a relatively thin body. There wasn't really much substance there. So I'm kind of expecting the same thing from this one. And if you're also familiar with beer, you know that stouts are a little bit maltier. They're a little bit sweeter with like some sort of a caramel flavor normally. So I'm interested to see what this beer tastes like.
Same here. They do have this on Untapped, and here's what it says. There's a description. It says, inspired by days on the slopes and nights by the fire, All Out is a delightfully smooth and soul-warming stout. Ooh. Each sip delivers a silky, full-bodied mouthfeel.
We'll see about that.
Yeah, we'll see. And pleasantly toasty finish, along with delicate notes of coffee and bittersweet chocolate. Given the depth of flavor, it's surprisingly light and refreshing, making it the perfect beer for any time of the year. We like to pair it with warm, savory dishes in winter and light but sweet treats in warmer weather.
That sounds like a PR. That sounds like a PR description.
It has a rating of 3.4 out of 5 on Untapped, which isn't terrible.
I think that's better than the Lagunitas IPNA.
Yeah, I think so too, but we'll see, I guess. These are in can, so let's give it a crack, shall we?
Yeah, we'll see how their description pairs with the taste.
I'm really kind of curious. It's definitely dark like a stout.
It kind of smells good too.
And mine's actually getting pretty heady for compared to last week's. Last week there was just some like the kind of bubbles you get from pop.
Yeah. But this actually kind of has a head.
Yeah, it looks kind of like a thick, nice and foamy head. This looks like a stout.
Does it smell weird to you?
It does have some kind of off smell that I cannot place.
I think the issue I'm having is the scents like in my nose are separating easily. And like how normally like a stout, all the smells would like, is coalesce the right word? they would all
Oh
like
no.
gather together, and they would form like one big smell. But these feel like little spears of smell coming at me.
That's an
I
interesting
can
description, I guess,
I
of
don't
what
know.
you're of the way you're smelling.
They're really the scents, the different scents are all very pronounced. Like they're not melding together in my nose.
There's kind of a strange scent there, but I am getting a little bit of the roasty malt flavor that you would expect on the nose, at least.
Yeah, a
It
little
kind of
bit.
smells like a stout. It's dark.
It
The
is
head has
dark.
shrunk, but it is retaining. It looks like a beer, and I'm drinking mine out of a like one of those pub stout glasses that you'd expect to get a Guinness in. So it looks
Yeah,
appropriate.
nice. I
Um,
mean, I have a little bit more hope for this one than the IPA from last time.
I'm trying not to get my hopes up, just because I had my hopes up last week, and it's
And they
I'm gonna
were
set the bar low.
they were immediately dashed to
Yeah.
the side of the road as you took the first sip of the last one.
But then again, that was Lagunitas, who typically doesn't do non-alcoholic beers. This brewery seems to
True.
only do non-alcoholic, so maybe they have something. I don't know.
I have a slightly more hope for this one.
Ever so slight. Let's say we give this a try.
All right, let's do it.
As we always say on American Brews and Tunes,
Shibbity-bee-boo-doo!
I think that was a pretty on time.
It sounded delayed in my ear, but
I think it's out of time, but we'll see whenever I edit it.
yeah.
Who knows? All right.
right,
Down the
cheers.
non-alcoholic hatch. I can say that it tastes more like a stout than last week's tasted like an IPA.
Yes, you're getting all of the normal notes from a stout that you would get. There's like the slight breadiness, that sort of sweetness, and then there's like the caramel flavor, a little bit of like a roasted coffee flavor almost.
Yeah, and that kind of pulls the dryness in right behind with that roasted coffee flavor. Like a dry Irish stout almost.
Yeah. But again, just like I said last week, it's like getting hit in the face with a pool noodle or a sock and bopper inflatable glove.
More fun than a pillow fight.
I just got a nice little bit of like a nutty flavor there. That was pretty good. But I mean, it's the same type of thing. There's hardly a body. The flavors are there. I like it more than the IPA from Lagunitas.
I agree. If somebody offered me the Lagunitas non-alcoholic IPA, I'd be like, maybe. But if someone offered me this, I'd say, sure, I will have that.
Sure, why not?
I think this probably would go good with a meal.
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
Like a pub food or something.
Yeah.
I do think this tastes way more like a beer than last week's. So
Yeah.
this one, yeah, I'd give this a 3.4. It's on par with Untapped. Knowing
Yes,
that
I
there's
agree.
no alcohol in here, I think they did and again, I have a limited knowledge of what non-alcoholic beers taste like, but this is the
True.
best one I've ever had out of the two that I've ever tasted.
Out of the two that I've tried, this one is the best.
Yeah, maybe it's just gonna all go up hill from here.
If I needed like a non-alcoholic beer to bring somewhere, I would buy this again.
Yeah.
It's
So
not bad. It's leaving like a pretty good aftertaste in my mouth too.
it makes me think that I'm having a beer.
A little bit, yeah.
So I'm
a lot
I
more
can,
than the IPA from last week.
yeah, like I can tell it's not an actual beer, but I'm slightly fooled.
Yeah,
So-
you get the. It's definitely the aftertaste is definitely what is fooling me about it.
But I actually do kind of like this one.
It's not bad.
Maybe it'll change as it warms up and it'll go horribly south, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see it. We'll see what it does.
Anyways, let's dive into I Am The Avalanche.
Oh boy,
I did not write that one down. That was all natural.
How could you have ever thought of that joke?
It was. I had to dig deep for that one.
Yeah.
All right, so the album Dive was written and recorded prior to COVID.
Oh, okay.
So they had it in the can at least before March 15th or 20th or whenever that was of 2020, but it wasn't released until November of 2020.
Okay.
And the end of November at that.
I honestly forgot that it came out in the fall.
Yeah,
Again,
weird.
like we mentioned last week, this whole past year has kind of like ran together really weirdly,
Yeah,
and we like always forget when things came out.
like a blip.
Yeah, a blip in
And
the universal timeline.
kind of like in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that when Thanos did his little snap, I think in Spider-Man they called it the blip.
Yes.
So that last year was our blip. Hopefully it's just
Yes.
last year and no more.
Yeah.
But
Hopefully it's just 1 year.
well, Dive is their fourth studio album.
Yes.
And it was quite a gap in between this and their previous album, Wolverines. It was about a 6-year
a
gap.
long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is kind of similar to the gap between their first two records, which was also 6 years.
Wow.
So they did one album, waited 6 years, put out the second record, and I believe the second and third record came out like 1 or 2 years apart.
Yeah.
And then waited a while.
So,
but it's not because they were just like not wanting to do it. Vinny Caruana had been really busy. He's their lead singer.
Yeah, he has a lot of other projects, right?
Yeah. So in the time since Wolverines, he released one full length album from his other band, The Movie Life.
Right.
He had one solo EP, two full length solo albums, one solo live record, and two EPs with a side project called Constant Elevation. They're really hardcore if you are into that.
Okay.
But I mean, I think he's done some other things too in addition to that. But I'm sure the rest of the band stayed busy too.
Yeah. Most likely. I actually forgot that he came out with so many solo records.
Yeah, he was busy.
I think I listened to one of those. Because when did those come out? Did one of them come out in 2018?
You know what? I might have made that up. Maybe he had two EPs and one solo record.
Let me look.
What am I thinking? I think I'm getting my Vinny Caruana releases mixed up. Maybe it was one full length, two EPs.
One full length, two EPs. Okay.
I think. But I mean, regardless, he pumped out a lot of material, and it was really good. He had one solo EP before Wolverines was released, but it was a lot more folky, kind of like he likened it to Frank Turner. I don't think necessarily, but it was that singer songwriter kind of vibe.
Okay.
Whereas the rest of his solo releases were more full band and a little more experimental, if you will.
If you will.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Anyway, I'll have to give those a listen for sure.
Yeah, definitely worth a listen. But I Am The Avalanche got back together for Dive, and they have a guitarist and a songwriter named Mike Ireland. And apparently, during the Wolverine album, he only wrote a couple songs and then quit the band. I guess
really?
He had opened a couple bars and needed to focus on that. So a good majority of Wolverines, I guess, was just Vinny writing.
Okay.
So he came back for this album, and apparently that was a good thing. No complaints from me, obviously. The more the merrier.
Yeah.
But they wrote all these albums, put it together, had it in the can, and then COVID hit. So I'm sure they were planning on doing tours and all kind of stuff in support of it, but all that changed.
Hopefully, whenever this whole thing dies down, eventually they will go on tour because I would love to see them again.
Same here.
We saw them once at the Smiling Moose, right?
Yeah, it was. I didn't know who they were, but the Swellers were opening up for them.
Yes.
And I looked them. I was like, I Am The Avalanche. Who is this weird band? So I looked them up, and their big single at the time was "The Shape I'm In." I was like, this song is awesome.
It is a good song.
So we went to go see them, and with the Swellers played, we loved it. And we went downstairs to the bar to get a beer, and then I heard something. I was like, this sounds like "The Shape I'm In." No, and we missed the whole song.
Yeah.
It was the only song I knew by them.
Yeah.
But we went upstairs, saw the rest of their set, and it was pretty good. I bought a CD and then grew to love them.
Yeah.
I also saw them in, where was it? I believe somewhere in Kentucky, not
Probably,
Covington, but
probably Louisville.
it was right on the border between Kentucky and Ohio, where Cincinnati is.
Oh, okay.
There's a venue called the Thompson House, but I can't remember what the actual city's called, the town. But they were playing the song "We'll Be Back Around," and it's not one of my favorite songs, and I had to pee real bad, so I went to the bathroom,
Yeah.
and that song ended, and "The Shape I'm In" came on while I was in the bathroom. I was like, "This is not going to happen again." So I peed as fast as I could, and I got back out there.
Oh, that's great.
May have skipped on washing my hands. I don't remember.
May have
It was.
skipped on washing my hands.
I had to get out there for the song. It was too good.
Yeah. Yeah, you couldn't miss it twice. You couldn't miss it again.
But a lot of I Am the Avalanche albums are similar to like Menzinger's albums, where I need to kind of sit with them for a while before they grow on me.
Yeah.
And this album was no different.
Okay.
So let's dive into the tracks, shall we?
We shall.
All right. The first song is "Better Days."
Yeah, this was they released this as a single, right?
Yeah, it was the first song that they released.
Yeah.
And again, I was kind of like, meh, it's okay. I didn't dislike it. I didn't love it. But then I listened to it a ton and I grew to really like it.
Yeah, same. My initial reaction to this album was kind of similar to your reaction, but I was much more partial to it immediately, just based on what else I was listening to at the time when I started listening to this.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a really nice change of pace for this album.
I had just been listening to the new AC/DC album a lot, so going into this was a nice change. Gruff vocals, but in a very different style.
Yes, definitely. But anyway, Better Days.
Yeah, chorus is really, really pretty anthemic and good, and it's got a strange structure to the chorus.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of longer and almost has like different parts to it, but it flows together really well, and it's a great sing-along chorus, I think.
Yeah. For those unfamiliar with I Am the Avalanche, I believe, didn't Vinny Caruana say that like the songs like really aren't too deep or anything like that? Like they're the band is more for just like having fun with his friends.
Yeah, it's like good time music and camaraderie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it seems like the song is essentially like a cheers to the better days that are ahead.
Yeah. Sounds like it could have been written during the pandemic.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It's very optimistic.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of these songs follow suit with there's some negative dark things in the album, but I think there's always a positive optimistic touch somewhere.
Yeah.
Especially in the next song.
Yes.
Track number 2 is called "You're No Good to Me, Dead."
Mm.
This song, like the start of the song, kind of reminds me of their second album, Avalanche United. It's got a kind of vibe, but it's got, like I said, optimistic kind of tones. When he's looking at the positives and appreciating what or who you have. It's
Definitely.
kind of vague, 100% who he's talking to. Like I don't know if it's like a significant other or a friend. Who knows? Maybe a family member. But it's a really nice song. First couple of times I heard it, though, I was like, is he talking to his dad? Because it sounds like he says, "You're no good to me, Dad."
Oh, you're no good to me, Dad.
Yeah, if he was saying that, then I was like, ooh, he must not like his dad.
But yeah, he like says things like "pick your jaded head up" and various other kind of encouraging lines like that in the song.
You're no good to me, Dad.
Yeah.
Super catchy. And I really like the last part of the last chorus right before the song ends. They go halftime, and it turns into a rager. And I wish that they had done the entire last chorus like that, but alas, they did not.
Alas, they chose not to.
Yeah. Good song, though. Track number 3?
Dive, the title track.
Dive, title track. Vinny said this, he did a track-by-track breakdown, so if I ever say Vinny said, then I'm definitely referring to that.
Then he actually did say that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I can't remember. I don't have the reference specifically on hand, but he did a track-by-track review or breakdown on somewhere online. If you type in I Am The Avalanche dive track by track. You'll find it.
Yeah. Okay.
But Vinny said this is for friends and family who are suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And again, there's optimism in this song, like the previous two tracks. Like he talks about like the nostalgic things. Like he says, "Good times we've had, they're ours. You can't have them back." And then
Yeah.
later he says, "Tonight our worries they're buried." And then at the very end of that part, he says, "We suffer together. No one's alone."
Mm-hmm.
So really kind of positive. And this song has got some wild changes in like speed and sound and intensity.
Yeah.
Like post-hardcore. I don't know. What would you like say about that?
Yeah, I don't know. Like some parts are kind of quiet and slow, and then they go into like really fast parts, like classic like punk, like or whatever the drum beat is.
And then sludgy,
Yeah,
and then soft. Yeah, so
it's a good
kinda,
mix of a whole bunch of different feels.
yeah, it was really unpredictable the first couple times I heard it, but it definitely makes for an exciting listen, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Good title track.
Yeah. Moving on to track number 4, which is my first recommendation. This song is Fake
It's a good
Weed.
one.
This was my favorite song on the first listen of the album, purely because
Yeah.
In the chorus, I think they throw in a measure of 3/4. They chop off a half of a measure, and it's kind of cool. And they just have a really interesting chord progression. They choose some strange chords throughout that threw me off in a good way. So it really piqued my attention, and I was like, "Ooh, this song's awesome."
Yeah, it definitely is interesting, and like going from just always being 4/4 to being in the having the strange time signatures in the middle is really nice.
Yeah,
Not necessarily strange time signatures, but just slightly different to where
throwing
it
a
feels.
bar of 3/4, doing something like that.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
just
It makes it what do we always call it? It's like just a slight little bit of flavor added to. It's a very simple way to add flavor into a chorus.
spice up the song.
Yeah,
Spice it up.
spice up the song.
It sounds like he might be singing directly to a specific person on the song because there's some details in the verses that are unique to, I would assume, one person's situation.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell specifically what he's saying, but the choruses are a little more vague, and I feel like you could apply that to your own situation, which is probably intentional. But very, very catchy song.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah.
On to the next song, track number 5, which is Love Song 69.
And it is indeed a love song.
Yeah, they slow it down quite a bit. Start off with just a strumming guitar, slightly overdriven.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like Vinny's voice is like kind of shines through in the beginning of this song quite a bit.
I think so too.
Like it's not very prominent, like it's not like super loud or anything, but
he's not doing the gruff thing from the get-go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought the first time I heard this, I thought it was just going to be like those vocals and guitars slow the whole time. But I was wrong. Whenever he comes in with "as soon as you woke up," it gets really heavy and awesome. Not that it wasn't awesome before, but it's a jam.
Yeah. The slower songs on this album I'm more partial to, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a good change within the album to add a little bit of flavor, as it were.
The pacing on the album, I think, is done very well.
Yeah, I think so too.
Regarding the title of this song, Vinny said the title is an homage to 69 love songs by the Magnetic Fields. So it's a very specific reference.
Okay.
He said he wrote this one on my mini guitar / ukulele in bed, feeling extremely hungover and grateful.
Feeling very extremely grateful and hungover, huh?
Yeah, so I'm assuming he wrote this for his wife.
Yeah. Yeah, with the line, "The only easy part is loving you."
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
like
like
that a lot.
the chorus or refrain. I'm not really sure what it would be, but he repeats that a
Yeah,
lot.
like as hard as life gets sometimes, that's never difficult for him, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty cool. I like it.
Moving on to number 6. Are you listening? Question mark.
Mm-hmm.
This is another
I am.
song that that reminds me of the Avalanche United sound, but it has a
Okay,
touch of
yeah.
Wolverines, like with the tempo and pacing.
Yeah.
I think there's a nice dynamic change between the verses and chorus.
Yeah.
Um, Chorus is big and anthemic, and again, another optimistic song talking about hardships and showing that you're not the only one struggling.
Yeah.
It turns
It's
into a
a
rager at the end.
yeah, definitely. It's a really good song.
That's all I have to say about that. So moving on to track number 7. This song is called Tokyo. It's my second recommendation.
Good song.
It's,
It's a song referencing someone specific.
oh yeah, it's fairly obvious. It's about
Yeah.
Tony Sly.
Yeah.
Um, and the first verse, he's talking about when he heard the news of Tony Sly's passing,
Yeah.
and it kind of sounds like he sang a show that night.
Yeah. He did.
Second verse is about being in Gainesville in Florida
Yeah.
and reminiscing to himself about how that's where Tony Sly performed his final show.
Mm-hmm.
But he also sings the line that he was there being sick off of pain pills
Yeah.
so he could stand because he had back pains. It's two
Oh.
little references in there because the song "The Shape I'm In" is about him being like he had I don't know if it was a back surgery or injury and he had pain pills and that caused him some problems.
Hmm.
So that specifically is what "The Shape I'm In" is about.
Okay.
He would have been writing that song around this time when Tony Sly passed.
Oh wow.
But also, Tony Sly had an accidental overdose, I believe, on alcohol, some other things, and pain pills.
Yeah.
So it could be a reference to that as well. Little kind of dark reference, at least.
Yeah.
Um,
The chorus in this song is really catchy as well.
Super catchy.
And it also is like a positive, has a positive spin on it when he says, "I can't wipe the smiles off our faces."
Yeah, he's reminiscing. And
Yeah.
the song's called Tokyo. And I was like, maybe they did a show in Tokyo together. So I looked it up, and it was Mike Ireland when he left the band. He was talking about like a lot of the good memories he had, and he said one of his favorite memories was eating sushi in Tokyo with no use for a name.
Hmm.
So they definitely were touring together and had good times in Tokyo. So this is more. I mean, there's some dark stuff in here, but it's a positive reminiscence, kind of like
Yeah.
in a better place.
Definitely.
And earlier in whatever that song is, Dive, he says, "Throw one back for our fallen friends."
Yeah.
So there you go, connections.
Yeah. Just a all around good song.
Really good song, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit faster than some of the other ones.
Yes.
The next song, number 8, is called "Concrete," and there's some more post-hardcore stuff, kind of not 100% similar, but kind of like Dive, where he's not really singing, but he's got more of that like screaming spoken word kind of thing.
Yeah.
Only to come back with a super melodic chorus. So it's kind of a cool juxtaposition there in this song.
Yeah. The song starts off with like a really catchy guitar line that is, I believe, is the melody, right?
Yes, yeah, the melody that pops in the chorus. Do
Yeah.
do 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 do.
Yep. And then he goes into the first verse and he is kind of like scream
Oh,
talking.
yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
That we were up. Yeah,
Yeah.
but good song.
Yeah, I agree. I enjoy it.
Moving on to the penultimate track,
Yes.
which is called
Earthquake weather.
Exactly. It's a solid mid-tempo jam again. It's. I mean, this isn't really a standout track. I like it a lot, but my favorite part of this song is when the chorus kicks in. Instead
Yeah.
of being this huge chorus, the drums come in with a beat riding on the tom.
Hmm.
Uh, it's kind of a cool way to transition into a chorus. I thought.
Yeah.
Good song though.
I agree. I like it. Um, I don't know. There's not much else to say about that song for me.
I think there's
That
more to say
song,
about the next track.
yeah, the Earthquake Weather and Concrete were probably like the least standout tracks to me on the album.
I agree, but they placed them well because number 10, I
Yeah.
think, might be the best track on the album.
Yeah, it's my favorite song on the album for sure.
This song's called Morning.
The Morning, yes.
Yeah, and what's that thing where they say? Oh, I was gonna say it's like the centerpiece of the album, even though it's even though it's the last track.
The last track, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it their magnum opus because they have some other bangers, but this one's definitely an epic closer.
Yeah, 100%.
On my initial listen, I was a little underwhelmed at first. Like when you're just hearing the guitars and vocals, and then this organ, like this droning organ, kind of creeps in.
Yeah.
And that lasts for almost a minute until the chorus kicks in, and you're like,
man.
"Holy,
the chorus is just
cow.
so good." Yeah,
it's a rager.
The way they build up to the chorus where he says, "And all I ask of you," it's so good. Yeah,
got these blasting halftime drums. Pitted against these guitars that are strummed way faster. Like the guitars are like really, really strumming fast.
Yeah.
And rapid. And like hearing those together, it's just really a cool song. Almost drony like in the chorus. It's just a huge, huge chorus.
Yeah. And it makes you look forward to that chorus every single time.
Exactly. Because they go back to a verse and you're like, ooh, it's coming back. I know it.
Yeah. I can imagine them playing this at a show and just being like, everyone like just jumps and jams out during the chorus.
And it's probably be like a one where people bring out their lighters during the verse.
Yeah.
It's soft and flowy.
Yeah.
The bridge is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They change keys into this arpeggiated guitar part, and it's almost out of left field. It's a little awkward getting into the bridge because it comes out of nowhere, but it flows back into the chorus almost perfectly.
Yeah.
It's so weird. And so like this song, like of the building up and then the calming back down, it's like they go in waves, kind of like the Decemberists, and it's just fantastic.
Well, what do we learn in music theory, Steve? What, A, B, A, C, A? It's the song structure. You can do whatever you want in the third section. I was about to say the letter in section, but as long as you come back to A, as long as you come back to the chorus, it'll all work out.
Yes. If you follow that formula, it will always work out.
Always, never fails.
I think Vinny and the gang knew that, and they definitely wrote this song to a formula. I mean, it's a formula for a reason, but you know.
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely my favorite song on the album.
Same here. It wasn't upon my first listen, but it didn't take many listens for that to switch.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got a good message too.
Yeah.
I think it seems like he's like apologetic for his shortcomings and mistakes, but he's asking for leniency to whoever he's speaking to.
Yeah.
So he's like kind of talking about the human condition. I can't remember what he says. We all make mistakes. I know that some of them were mine.
Yeah.
But he's got an optimistic touch. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's a message that most people can relate to.
Absolutely.
I can definitely relate.
Unless you haven't lived.
Unless you've never made mistakes before, but
we all have.
Yeah. Just a great way to end the album. And I do think that it is kind of the crux of the album for me.
Agreed.
Anyway.
That's probably a better word than centerpiece.
Yeah, it drives the message home of the whole album.
Yeah, they said that this was written intentionally. I don't know if it was written intentionally as a closer, but as soon as they wrote it, they're like, "This is the last song that's going to be on the album."
Yeah,
so they knew.
Yeah, it just makes sense based on everything else thematically happening in the album, even musically as well. Like they kind of bring back a whole bunch of stuff. In the last song, all the quiet stuff, all the heavy guitars, all the screaming, all the quiet singing.
Yeah, they pulled everything out of the book for this one.
Yeah.
All in all, I think it's a really great record. It's consistent throughout.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think that there's necessarily a standout single track to the same degree as their previous records.
Yeah.
But that doesn't diminish this album at all, I don't think.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, that wouldn't deter me from ever listening or saying that this is a good or bad album. I think it's just really, really solid.
Yeah. And I mean, I prefer to listen to albums straight through. So
This is perfect for that. And it fits in with the I Am The Avalanche brand, like the camaraderie. And this is like a good song a good album, I think, to hear with friends, which is why, like we said earlier, it would be great to see them live because they'd probably do a lot from this album.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah.
And it's only about 29 minutes long, so it's a real easy listen.
Yeah. I think most of their albums are on the shorter side. At least this one and Wolverines are like 10 songs each. Good short listens.
Yep.
Yeah. Hopefully they don't take another 6 years before they release another one.
Yeah, I'm hoping they don't as well.
Yeah.
Because after listening to this album, I have grown to like them more.
Yeah. I'm gonna dive into their back catalog again.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like I respect them more after this album. I do respect them more after this album, but like
okay. I was gonna say what?
That's not the right phrasing. I didn't phrase that correctly.
Yeah.
I liked them before. I don't even know where I was going with that, to be honest. I like this album.
Them more. Yeah,
I like this album. I like them more.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't like them before. That's what I'll say.
Good deal. Same here.
I didn't all of a sudden find a brand new appreciation for the band. I just
reinvigorated. I don't know.
Yeah. That's a good way to say it. That's a good way to put it. It reinvigorated my enjoyment of the band.
Good deal. Looking forward to next week.
Big week.
I think we're finally going to delve into some albums we've been talking about for a while.
Yes.
We're going to be reviewing what I've been listening to for on and off for a little while is the album Igor by Tyler, the Creator.
Yes.
And what Jesse has been listening to is Because the Internet by Childish Gambino. So
is that a doozy or what?
It's a doozy. That'll be the next 2 episodes. So one will be next week and the one will be the following, which will be, I believe, the last 2 Dry January episodes.
Yes.
Speaking of Dry January, what do you think of this beer after it's warmed up a little?
I don't know. It still kind of tastes the same.
Yeah, I don't really think any new flavors have opened up. I think maybe it got a little sweeter, perhaps.
Yeah, there are fewer bitter notes.
Yeah, or maybe we're just more acclimatized to the bitter notes. Who knows?
It could be.
I mean, salt.
Again, it's I don't know. It's a non-alcoholic beer.
It is what it is.
It is strange. I would still prefer to have a regular beer over this, but for dry January, this gives you a little bit of a taste of a stout. I mean, it is malty.
Yes, way more malty than last week.
It does have the caramel sweetness. It has the
roasty malties.
Yeah, the roasty malties. So overall, it's a pretty good beer. I like it.
Yeah. What say we give it one last cheers and sign off?
Sounds good.
All right, as we always say on American Brews and Tunes.
Still
think that was good, but not great. We'll see it whenever I cut it.
Yeah, who knows?
And the hatch. Once again, my name is Stephen Johnston.
And my name is Jesse Titus.
And this is American Brews and Tunes.
Here's a theme song, you know it's not a mean song. It's a good song, just as it should song. American Brews and Tunes. Shibbity-beeby-da.